Help me! Somebody help me! Please! Breathe! Just breathe! Look at me! It'll be over soon, I promise you!
When Merchant's daughter Alara is abandoned at sea during childbirth, the ocean's most feared predator finds her, Captain Nathaniel Blackwood, the legendary pirate king who has never shown mercy. But instead of leaving her to die, he makes a declaration that will change everything. You're mine now. As secrets about her past surface and enemies close in on the child born during a blood moon, she must survive in a world where trust is currency and betrayal is rewarded with death. The Caribbean sun burned mercilessly overhead as Alara clung to the splintered edge of the canoa, her scream swallowed by endless blue water. Another contraction tore through her body, and she knew with absolute certainty that she would die here alone, unmourned, giving birth in a broken boat while the ocean waited to claim them both. Her family's final words echoed through the pain, "May God have mercy on your sinful soul." No mercy had come. Only thirst, agony, and the baby fighting to enter a world that had already rejected them. 3 days ago, her father had looked through her as if she were already dead. Her mother had wept, but not enough to stop them from setting her adrift with nothing but prayers she knew would go unanswered. She had believed in love once. Thomas Reed had promised her everything: marriage, a home, a future. His smile had made her forget she was a merchant's daughter with a reputation to protect. 6 months ago, she had given him what no respectable woman should offer before. Then he vanished like morning mist, leaving only a child growing in her belly and shame that destroyed her family's name. The contraction peaked, and Alara felt something shift. The baby was coming, whether she was ready or not. She braced herself against the rotting wood, her vision blurring with pain and dehydration. This was how her story ended, a cautionary tale whispered in port taverns about young women who trusted the wrong men. Then she heard it, the crack of canvas catching wind, the groan of massive timbers. She forced her eyes open and saw the ship bearing down on her, a 3-masted beast with black sails that seemed to swallow the sun. Even in her delirium, she recognized the flag. A white skull over crossed sabers on blood-red. Pirates. Terror gave her strength she didn't know she possessed. Through waves of pain, she watched figures moving on the deck above. Someone laughed, a sound devoid of mercy. They would kill her, or worse. Stories from the taverns filled her mind, tallies of what pirates did to women they found alone at sea. "Captain, there's someone in that wreckage!" The shout came from the crow's nest. Living or dead? The voice that answered made her skin prickle. It was deep, controlled, carrying absolute authority. "Hard to say, sir, but I think I hear crying." A shadow fell across the canoa, blocking the sun. Alara forced herself to look up. The man staring down at her was everything the legends promised. Tall and broad-shouldered, with sun-darkened skin marked by scars that told stories of violence survived. Dark hair hung past his collar, partially bound with leather cord. His jaw carried several days of beard, and his eyes were the color of storm clouds before lightning strikes. He wore a white shirt open at the throat, revealing scars across his chest. A long black coat moved like living shadow, and weapons bristled from his belt, a cutlass, 2 pistols, a knife large enough to gut a man. This was Captain Nathaniel Blackwood, the scourge of the Caribbean, the man whose name made merchant captains change their routes. Those storm-gray eyes took in her swollen belly, her blood-stained dress, her white-knuckled grip on the canoa's edge. For a long moment, he said nothing. Instead, he spoke one word: rope. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, lowering him to the canoa. He landed with barely a sound, the vessel tilting under his weight. Up close, he was even more terrifying, solid muscle and controlled violence. "Please," Alara managed. "Please don't." "Quiet." He knelt beside her, and she flinched, but his hands were surprisingly gentle. "How long have you been in labor?" I don't know. Hours. Since dawn, maybe? He cursed, then looked up. Get the surgeon ready. Now. His gaze returned to her face. What's your name? Alara, she whispered. Alara. He pulled off his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. Hold on to me. We're getting you aboard. The baby will be born on my ship. He secured the rope around them both, and you are under my protection now. My wife, mine to defend. Alara stared at him, certain she'd gone mad. What? But they were already being lifted. As they rose toward the black-sailed ship, she caught fragments of whispered conversations. Blood moon last night, the mark, the legend. Clear the way. Blackwood's voice cut through. Tell Marcus his captain has just acquired a wife. As consciousness slipped away, Alara heard one final exchange. Did you see the baby's shoulder? Aye. Compass rose birthmark, clear as day. The legend's true. Then darkness claimed her, and she knew nothing more except the steady rhythm of the ship and the unexpected safety of being carried in the arms of the Caribbean's most dangerous man. Alara awoke to gentle rocking and an infant crying. Her infant. Memory crashed back, the labor, the pirate captain's impossible declaration, the terrifying ascent to the ship. She jolted upright, immediately regretting it as her body protested. Easy, lass. A weathered man with gray in his beard set down a cup. I'm Doc Sullivan, ship's surgeon. You've been unconscious for 6 hours. The birth was difficult, but you're alive. That's what matters aboard the Leviathan. He gestured to a cradle secured to the wall. Your son is healthy, strong lungs. Her son. Alara's hands trembled as she walked to the cradle and lifted the red-faced baby. His crying subsided as she held him close. They had both survived. The captain wants to see you when you're ready, Doc Sullivan said, but there's no rush. He's given strict orders that you're not to be disturbed. He paused at the door. I've served under Nathaniel Blackwood 15 years. I've never seen him do anything without reason. Get your strength back. This ship isn't a merchant vessel with gentle sailors. The Leviathan is home to men who've chosen freedom over law and the sea over solid ground. After he left, Alara explored the cabin. It was surprisingly spacious, clearly the captain's quarters. A massive bed built into the timbers. Charts and navigation tools covered a desk. Weapons hung everywhere, swords, pistols, daggers. This was the room of a man who lived for violence, yet he had given it to her. A knock made her clutch the baby tighter. Come in. A young man entered with food. Afternoon, miss. I'm James, the ship's cook. Well, apprentice, really. Captain says you're to eat as much as you can manage. Where's the captain sleeping? Captain's quarters have a small adjoining room. He's in there. Says he won't have his wife and child unguarded. James's smile wavered. Though half the crew thinks you're a blessing, and the other half thinks that baby will bring a curse. Why? The birthmark. James pointed to the compass rose on the baby's shoulder. There's an old legend among pirates. A child born at sea during a blood moon, bearing the navigator's mark, brings either fortune or destruction. Last night was a blood moon, miss. Every man aboard saw it. Alara's blood ran cold. That's superstition. But in the Caribbean, superstition keeps men alive as often as skill does. James moved to the door. Captain Blackwood doesn't believe in luck or legends, but he does believe in keeping what he claims, and he's claimed you before the whole crew. That makes you as safe as anyone can be on a pirate ship. After James left, Alara studied the charts. Her father had taught her basic navigation. These were far more detailed, marked with notations in precise handwriting. Hidden coves, dangerous reefs, Royal Navy patrol routes. Knowledge that could hang a man. The door opened without warning, and Captain Blackwood filled the doorway. In lamplight, he was even more imposing. Clean clothes, dark breeches, boots, fresh white shirt. His hair was tied back, revealing sharp features and a scar from temple to jaw. You're awake. Those gray eyes assessed her. And the boy? He's fine. She shifted between him and the cradle. Something like amusement flickered across his face. I didn't save you both to harm him now, girl. What's his name? I haven't decided. Then decide quickly. A child born on my ship needs a name. He poured rum. We need to talk about your situation. My situation? Being claimed by a pirate captain I've never met? Being alive instead of dead. His words were blunt. Your family set you adrift to die. I've found you. The law of the sea is clear. What a captain salvages belongs to him. That includes you. I'm not cargo. No, you're worse. You're a woman with a newborn on a ship full of men who haven't seen land in 6 weeks. Some think your boy is lucky. Others think he'll sink us all. The only thing keeping them from throwing him overboard is my word. The brutality stole her breath. You would let them. I would kill any man who tried. The promise was absolute. But they don't know that yet. They need to believe you belong to me, that you're under my protection as my wife. Do you understand? This is just pretense. To keep us safe, call it what you like. But here are the rules. You stay in these quarters unless I'm with you. You speak to no one without permission. You trust no one. James is loyal. Doc Sullivan is honorable. But others serve me because I'm useful, not because they love me. How long do we maintain this fiction? Until I decide otherwise. He moved to the door, then stopped. The man who got you pregnant, Thomas Reed. What did he look like? The question caught her off guard. Tall, light brown hair, blue eyes. He said he was from Bristol. Why? Because Thomas Reed doesn't exist. Blackwood's expression hardened. But William Cross does. 6 months ago, my first mate betrayed me, stole my charts, and joined my greatest rival captain, James Rackham. If your lover had blue eyes and a Bristol accent, you weren't seduced by a merchant sailor. The world tilted. What are you saying? Your child is the son of a traitor. And if William Cross learns you and his boy survived, he'll come for you both. Blackwood opened the door. Sleep while you can, Alara. Tomorrow you start learning how to survive on the Leviathan. The door closed, leaving Alara with the terrifying realization that everything about Thomas, about William, had been a lie. 3 days aboard the Leviathan taught Alara more about survival than 25 years on land. The ship was a world unto itself, 120 men living by codes she didn't understand, speaking maritime terms that might as well be foreign, watching her with expressions from curiosity to hostility. Captain Blackwood kept his word. She never left the quarters without him at her side. When he was occupied with ship's business, Doc Sullivan or James stood guard. The baby, she'd named him Samuel after her grandfather, despite everything, seemingly born for this life. He's got the sea in his blood, James said during a meal delivery. Barely cries when the ship pitches. That's rare for a newborn. But the crew's whispered conversations kept Alara awake. Talk of the prophecy child and debates about the birthmark. Some men had started leaving offerings outside the quarters. Carved fish, polished shells, a tiny brass compass. On the 4th morning, Blackwood entered with purpose. Get dressed. Something appropriate for the deck, you're coming topside. Why? She clutched Samuel protectively. Because hiding you makes the crew think I'm uncertain. And a captain who shows uncertainty gets a knife in his back. He tossed clothing onto the bedmen's breeches. A shirt, a vest. You can't move in skirts. Put these on. I'm not climbing your ship, not today. But you will learn every rope, every sail. If something happens to me, you need to know how to survive. His expression softened slightly. The boy needs to see his mother as strong. Minutes later, Alara stood on deck in borrowed clothes, Samuel in a sling across her chest. The morning sun was brilliant, and the Leviathan cut through waves with predatory grace. The crew's reaction was immediate. Men stopped working. Conversations died. Every eye turned toward them. Listen well, Blackwood's voice carried. This is Alara Blackwood, my wife. The boy is Samuel. They're under my protection, which means under the protection of every man aboard. The pirate code is clear. Any man who harms a captain's family answers to the crew before the captain. Understood? Aye, Captain. The response was thunderous. Good. Now, back to work. We have merchant ships to intercept before Tortuga, and I don't intend to share with Rackham's dogs. He led her across the deck, pointing out essential parts: the helm, the masts, the rigging, the gun deck below. His explanations were concise and practical. Captain Blackwood. A tall, lean man approached, sharp features and calculating eyes. A word, please, Marcus, my quartermaster. Marcus Green, second in command. An unexpected pleasure, Mrs. Blackwood. Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes, though I confess surprise at the captain's sudden matrimony. Such decisions are usually discussed with officers. I wasn't aware I needed permission to claim salvage, Marcus. Of course not, Captain. Though some salvage proves more valuable than others. His gaze drifted to Samuel. The men are talking about the birthmark, about the legend. Let them talk. Superstition keeps them sharp, or makes them reckless. Marcus lowered his voice. Captain Rackham's ships have been spotted in these waters. If he learns about the child, then we'll send him to the depths like his last 3 vessels. Blackwood's stance shifted dangerously. Unless you have concerns about the crew's loyalty? The 2 men stared at each other. Finally, Marcus smiled. No concerns, Captain. Merely caution. Rackham has spies everywhere, even aboard the most loyal ships. Then we'll root them out when needed. Blackwood dismissed him. Prepare the crew for possible engagement. I want the Leviathan ready within the hour. After Marcus left, Alara whispered, You don't trust him. I trust very few people, and Marcus has never been one of them. But he's an excellent quartermaster, and the crew respects him. He glanced at Sam. Your boy really does have the mark. I've seen the legend written in old texts. A child born at sea during a blood moon, bearing the navigator's mark, will unite what has been divided. And what do you think it means? I think it's words desperate men cling to, but superstitious men can be useful. If my crew believes your son brings fortune, they'll fight harder. And if our enemies believe it, they'll make mistakes. A shout from the crow's nest interrupted. Sail ho! 2 points off the starboard bow. Blackwood was instantly alert, pulling out a telescope. Colors? Can't see yet, Captain, but she's coming about like she's spotted us. Sound the alarm. All hands to stations. He turned to Alara. Get below. Lock yourself in the cabin. Don't open for anyone but me or Doc Sullivan. What's happening? Either we found our prize, or someone's found us. He was already moving, shouting orders. Either way, you're about to learn what the Leviathan does best. Alara hurried to the cabin, clutching Samuel as the ship erupted into chaos. Men raced to battle stations. Weapons were distributed. Gun crews loaded cannons. She just reached the door when she heard Marcus's voice from the quarterdeck. Captain, I recognize those sails. That's the Crimson Revenge Rackham's flagship. And beneath the alarm, Alara heard something else that made her blood run cold. Marcus sounded almost satisfied. She locked the door and held Samuel close, listening to the Leviathan preparing for battle and wondering which men wanted them protected and which wanted them delivered. To Captain Rackham and the traitor who had fathered her child, the Crimson Revenge cut through the water like a red blade, her cannons already visible through Blackwood's telescope. Alara watched from the cabin window as the Leviathan's crew moved with deadly precision, every man knowing his role in the violence to come. All hands, prepare to come about. Blackwood's voice carried across the deck. Gun crews, load chains shot. I want her masts down before she can close the distance. The ship tilted sharply as they changed course, and Alara braced herself against the desk. Samuel clutched to her chest. Through the window she could see the Crimson Revenge matching their maneuver, her captain clearly as skilled as Blackwood. The cabin door burst open. Blackwood strode in, his face set in hard lines. I'm putting you on a longboat with Doc Sullivan and James. They'll row you to that island 3 miles south. You'll wait there until... No. Alara stood her ground despite her trembling legs. I won't leave you. This isn't a discussion, Alara. Rackham doesn't take prisoners. He takes trophies. And you and Samuel would be the greatest trophies he could claim against me. Then teach me to fight. Give me a weapon, but I won't run and hide while you face him." Something flickered in his storm-gray eyes. Surprise, perhaps even admiration. "You don't understand what's coming. This isn't a merchant vessel surrendering after one warning shot. Rackham wants me dead, wants my ship at the bottom of the sea. The men who serve him are the worst the Caribbean has produced. I understand perfectly." She moved closer to him, her voice steady. "I understand that William Cross is on that ship. The man who lied to me, used me, destroyed my family's name. I understand that he fathered my child as part of some game between pirate captains. And I understand that you, a man who owes me nothing, have protected us when my own blood family wanted us dead." Blackwood stared at her for a long moment. Then he moved to the weapons rack and pulled down a long knife in a leather sheath. "This stays on your belt. You use it only if someone gets past me, past Doc Sullivan, past every man on this crew. Do you understand?" "Yes. And if I give you an order, any order, you obey without question. Your hesitation could get us both killed." Before she could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway. "Captain, they're raising a parley flag." Blackwood's jaw tightened. "Rackham wants to talk. That's never good." He turned to Alara. "Stay in this cabin. Bar the door after I leave. Let me come with you. If this is about Samuel, they should see I'm not afraid. No. If Rackham sees you, sees the boy, it confirms everything his spies have told him." Blackwood's hand cupped her face with surprising gentleness. "Trust me in this." He was gone before she could argue further. Through the window, she watched him climb to the quarterdeck. The Crimson Revenge had closed to within shouting distance, both ships drifting with minimal sail. A man appeared at the enemy ship's rail tall, broad-shouldered, with the captain's bearing, Captain James Rackham. His voice carried clearly across the water. "Nathaniel Blackwood. Heard you've acquired something that belongs to my first mate. Thought perhaps we could discuss terms." Blackwood's response was cold and clear. "I claim salvage by ancient right, Rackham. What I pull from the sea belongs to me. Your first mate has no claim to anything aboard my vessel, even to his own flesh and blood. William tells me the woman was his, says the child bears his features. Surely a man has rights to his own offspring." Alara's blood ran cold. How did Rackham know about Samuel? Unless... Her eyes found Marcus on the quarterdeck, standing slightly apart from the other officers. His expression was carefully, but something about his posture seemed tense, waiting. "The woman is my wife, claimed before witnesses according to the code." Blackwood's voice rang with authority. "The boy is mine to raise. Tell Cross if he wants to dispute my claim, he can face me with steel instead of hiding behind your flag." Rackham laughed, the sound carrying across the water like broken glass. "Bold words, Blackwood. But I'm not here to fight today. Just wanted you to know that we'll be following you. Every port you visit, every prize you take will be 3 days behind. And eventually, you'll make a mistake. Eventually, the woman will be alone or the child will be vulnerable. And when that day comes, William Cross will reclaim what's his. Then, I'll send him to meet his maker like I did the last 3 men who threatened my family." Blackwood's hand rested on his cutlass. "Lower that parley flag and face me now, or run like the coward you've always been." For a moment, Alara thought Rackham would accept the challenge, but then he laughed again and waved dismissively. "Another day, Blackwood. Another day when you're not expecting it. When you've grown comfortable, that's when I'll take everything you hold dear." The Crimson Revenge began turning away, her sails filling as she changed course. But as she passed, Alara saw a figure at the rail, a man with light brown hair and blue eyes that she recognized even across the distance. William Cross, Thomas Reed, the father of her child. He was staring directly at the Leviathan's captain's quarters, as if he could see through the walls to where she stood. Then he raised his hand in a mocking salute before disappearing below decks. When Blackwood returned to the cabin, his face was thunderous. "Marcus," his voice shook the timbers. Get in here! Now! The quartermaster appeared moments later, his expression questioning. Captain, how did Rackham know about Alara? About the child? About the birthmark? Blackwood's voice was dangerously quiet. We've encountered no other vessels since I pulled her from the sea. We've spoken to no one. So how does Rackham know details that only this crew should know? Marcus's face remained carefully neutral. Perhaps Cross has other sources of information. The woman's family, perhaps? Or her family believed she was dead. They set her adrift to die. Blackwood moved closer to his quartermaster, violence coiling in every line of his body. Which means someone aboard my ship has been sending messages to the Crimson Revenge. Someone has been feeding information to my greatest enemy. That's a serious accusation. It's a fact, and I will find who's responsible. Blackwood's eyes were like frozen steel. Assemble the crew, every man. I'm invoking the code. We're going to root out the traitor, and when I find him, he'll wish Rackham had taken him instead. After Marcus left, Blackwood turned to Alara. His expression softened slightly. I'm sorry you had to see Cross. Sorry you had to hear Rackham's threats. You protected us. Again. She set Samuel in his cradle and moved to stand before Blackwood. Why? You could have sent us away on that longboat. Could have ended this threat to your ship and crew. Why keep us? He looked at her for a long moment, something vulnerable flickering behind his usual mask of because 20 years ago, I watched the Royal Navy hang my father while my mother and sister watched from the harbor. My mother threw herself into the sea that night. My sister died of fever 3 days later in a workhouse. I was 12 years old and I swore I would never let anyone suffer alone the way they did. Never let anyone be abandoned to die when I had the power to save them. Alara's breath caught. Nathaniel, when I found you in that canoa, dying while giving birth, abandoned by your own blood. His voice roughened. I saw my mother in you, my sister, every person who's ever been thrown away like they didn't matter. And I couldn't. I wouldn't let it happen again. She reached up and touched his scarred face. It's not just duty anymore, is it? No. His hand covered hers. It stopped being just duty the moment you refused to leave me to face Rackham alone. The moment you asked for a weapon instead of a longboat. Alara, you. A shout from the deck cut him off. Captain! Smoke on the horizon, 3 vessels burning. Blackwood's expression hardened instantly. Rackham's attacking the merchant convoy we were tracking. He grabbed his weapons. That bastard is trying to steal our prizes and send a message that he owns these waters now. What do? We show him who really commands the Caribbean. He paused at the door looking back at her. When this is over, when Rackham is at the bottom of the sea and Cross is dead, I have something important to ask you. Something I should have asked properly from the beginning. Then he was gone, leaving Alara alone with her racing heart and the terrifying realization that she had fallen completely, irrevocably in love with the pirate captain who had saved her life. The 3 merchant ships were already ablaze when the Leviathan arrived, their crews either dead or fled in longboats. The Crimson Revenge sat in the center of the destruction like a spider in a web, her cannons still smoking. Blackwood studied the scene through his telescope, his expression unreadable. He knew we were coming, knew we'd tracked this convoy. Someone told him our plans. Alara stood beside him on the quarterdeck, having refused his order to stay below. Samuel was secured in a sling across her chest, and the knife Blackwood had given her hung at her belt. Around them, the crew prepared for battle with grim efficiency. "Captain!" Marcus called from below. "Rackham's raising his colors. He means to fight." "Good." Blackwood's voice carried across the deck, "because I'm done running, done letting him dictate terms. Today, the Crimson Revenge goes to the depths, and Rackham goes with her." "Captain, wait!" Doc Sullivan appeared at the quarterdeck stairs. "Before we engage, there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you days ago." "Speak quickly, Doc. We have perhaps 10 minutes before Rackham decides to come for us." The old surgeon glanced at Alara, then back to Blackwood. "Marcus has been sending messages to the Crimson Revenge. I saw him with a carrier pigeon 3 nights ago. He didn't see me, but I recognized the bird. It's from Rackham's personal stock. He's the spy. The words fell like stones. Blackwood's expression went absolutely cold. Marcus! The quartermaster appeared, his hand already on his cutlass. Yes, Captain? Doc Sullivan says you've been communicating with Rackham. That you're the one who told him about Alara and Samuel. About our plans. Blackwood descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. Tell me he's lying, Marcus. Tell me my quartermaster hasn't betrayed me to my greatest enemy. Marcus's facade finally cracked. His expression shifted from false concern to cold calculation. I didn't betray you, Nathaniel. I made a business decision. Rackham offered me partnership, equal share of all prizes, command of my own vessel, freedom from serving under your increasingly erratic command. Erratic? Blackwood's voice was dangerously quiet. You claimed a random woman as your wife, brought her bastard aboard. Based on what? A superstitious legend about a birthmark? Marcus's voice rose. You're letting sentiment make you weak. The crew sees it. They're questioning whether you're still fit to command the Leviathan. Then perhaps the crew should vote. Blackwood drew his cutlass in one smooth motion. The pirate code gives them that right. But first, you and I have business to settle. You've betrayed your captain. Betrayed your crew. The penalty for that is clear. Marcus drew his own blade. I'm a better swordsman than you ever were, Nathaniel. And when you're dead, Rackham will take the Leviathan without firing a shot. The crew will have a choice: serve under new leadership or die. Most will choose life. Most, perhaps. But not all. Blackwood glanced at the assembled crew. Any man who stands with Marcus, step forward now. I won't hold it against you. But choose quickly. The crew remained motionless. Even men who had seemed friendly with Marcus stayed in their positions, hands on their weapons, but eyes on their captain. Marcus's confident expression flickered. You fools! Blackwood's finished. He's been finished since he brought that woman aboard. No. Young James stepped forward, his voice shaking but determined. Captain Blackwood saved my life when I was stealing bread in Tortuga. Gave me a place aboard, taught me a trade. He's never betrayed a single man on this crew. But you, Marcus, you've been selling our positions to our enemies. How many of our brothers died because Rackham knew where we'd be? Other voices joined in, crew members calling out grievances against the quartermaster. Blackwood let them speak, his blade never wavering from Marcus. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. Marcus Green, by the authority of the Pirate Code and the voice of this crew, you're guilty of treason. Face me with honor, or I'll put you down like the traitor you are. The duel was brutal and swift. Marcus was skilled, but Blackwood fought with the cold precision of a man who had survived 2 decades of warfare. Their blades rang across the deck, each strike calculated and deadly. Then Blackwood saw his opening. His blade flashed and Marcus's cutlass went spinning across the deck. The quartermaster stumbled backward, weaponless and defeated. Please, Captain, we served together for years. That has to count for it. Counted until you sold my family to my enemies. Blackwood's voice held mercy. Until you put Alara and Samuel in danger for gold. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. He raised his blade, but before he could strike, the Crimson Revenge's cannons roared. Chain shots screamed across the water, tearing through the Leviathan's rigging. The ship shuddered under the impact. Battle stations! Blackwood shoved Marcus toward Doc Sullivan. Lock him below. We'll finish this later. All hands prepared to engage. The 2 ships closed on each other like wolves circling. Cannons thundered, smoke filled the air, and men shouted orders across the chaos. Alara clutched Samuel and ran for the cabin, but a second volley tore through the ship's side, and she heard timbers splitting above her. The mainmast! Someone screamed. It's coming down! Alara looked up to see the massive wooden mast tilting, ropes snapping like threads. It was falling directly toward the captain's quarters, toward her and Samuel. Strong arms grabbed her, pulling her aside just as the mast crashed through the cabin roof. She looked up into Blackwood's face, his eyes wide with fear, real fear, perhaps the first time she'd seen it. "Are you hurt?" His hands ran over her, checking for injuries. "The boy?" "We're fine. We're fine." She clung to him, Samuel between them, crying but unharmed. "Captain!" Doc Sullivan appeared through the smoke. "Marcus is gone." "He got free during the chaos. He's stolen a longboat, and he's rowing toward the Crimson Revenge." Blackwood cursed viciously. Then he turned to his crew, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Listen to me. Rackham has the advantage now. We're damaged, and he knows it. But we have something he doesn't." "What's that, Captain?" someone called. "We fight for each other, for brotherhood, for freedom." "He fights for gold and power." Blackwood raised his cutlass high. "The code says we vote on difficult choices. So I'm asking, do we surrender? Or do we show Rackham that the Leviathan doesn't know how to quit?" The crew's roar of defiance shook the damaged timbers. And as they prepared for the final confrontation, Elara realized that whatever happened next, she was exactly where she belonged, standing beside the man who had saved her, fighting for the life they'd built together against all odds. The battle raged for 3 hours under the merciless Caribbean sun. The Leviathan, despite her damaged mainmast and torn sails, fought with the desperation of men protecting their home and their captain. Blackwood commanded from the quarterdeck, his voice hoarse from shouting orders, his white shirt stained with smoke and blood. Elara had given Samuel to Doc Sullivan with strict orders to get him to safety below the waterline. Then she'd taken up position, loading pistols for the gun crews. Her hands shook, but her aim was steady as she passed weapons to men who nodded their thanks between cannon volleys. "Captain!" the lookout's voice carried over the chaos. "The Crimson Revenge is coming about?" She's positioning for a boarding action. This was it. The moment that would decide everything. Blackwood locked eyes with Elara across the smoke-filled deck. In that gaze, she saw everything he couldn't say amid the battle promises and fears and hopes for a future that might never come. Then the Crimson Revenge crashed alongside them and pirates swarmed across the gap like locusts. Steel rang on steel, men shouted and fell, and the deck became a nightmare of violence. Through the chaos, Elara saw him, William Cross, pushing through the fighting directly toward her. His blue eyes held recognition and something darker, possession. "There you are!" he called over the sounds of battle. "Did you really think you could hide from me? That Blackwood could protect what's mine? I was never yours." Elara drew the knife Blackwood had given her. "I was a game to you. A tool. Nothing more. You were entertainment that inconveniently bore fruit." Cross's smile was cruel. "But the child is valuable now. That birthmark makes him worth a fortune to certain collectors of superstitious artifacts. And you? Your leverage against Blackwood. Come quietly, or watch your precious pirate captain die." He lunged for her, but Elara was ready. She'd spent 3 days watching the crew train, learning their movements. Her knife flashed upward, catching Cross across the forearm. He cursed and stumbled back. The lady said no. Blackwood appeared beside her, his cutlass dripping. "And I believe I promised to send you to your maker if you threaten my family again." Cross backed away, his wounded arm held close. "Your family? She's nothing but a merchant's daughter I ruined for sport, and that bastard child is my son now." Blackwood's voice was absolutely certain. "Elara is my wife in truth, not just words, and you'll never touch either of them." The duel that followed was nothing like the fight with Marcus. This was personal, brutal, and absolutely without mercy. Cross was younger, faster, but Blackwood fought with 20 years of survival instinct and absolute fury at the man who had hurt Elara. Finally, Blackwood's blade found its mark. Cross collapsed to the deck, finished. "Captain." One of the Leviathan's crew pointed toward the Crimson Revenge. "Rackham's retreating. They're cutting the grappling lines." Indeed, the enemy ship was pulling away, her crew abandoning the boarding action. Without their first mate and with casualties mounting, they'd lost their appetite for the fight. But as the Crimson Revenge pulled away, Her cannons thundered one final time, a last desperate broadside that tore through the Leviathan's wounded hull. Timbers exploded, and Alara heard a scream from below. "Doc Sullivan!" She ran for the hatch. "Samuel?" The surgeon appeared, covered in dust but holding a crying Samuel safely in his arms. "We're fine, lass. The shot missed us by inches, but we're fine." Alara took her son, holding him close as tears streamed down her face. They had survived. Against all odds, they had survived. The crew's cheers shook the damaged ship. Men embraced, tended wounds, and began the work of keeping the Leviathan afloat. Blackwood crossed to where Alara stood, his expression exhausted but triumphant. "It's over," he said quietly. "Rackham won't dare face us again after today. Cross is gone. Marcus betrayed himself to the crew and ruined any alliance they might have formed. You're safe now, both of you." "We were never safe," Alara said, reaching for his hand. "But we were together. That was enough. Is it still enough?" Blackwood knelt before her right there on the damaged deck in front of his entire crew. "Because I told you I had something to ask, something I should have asked properly from the beginning." He pulled a ring from his pocket, simple gold, clearly old. "This was my mother's, the only thing I have left of her. Alara, I claimed you as my wife to save you. But now I'm asking, you truly asking, will you choose to be my wife? Not because I command it, but because you want this life, this dangerous, impossible life with me." The crew had gone absolutely silent, watching their captain's unprecedented vulnerability. Alara looked at the man kneeling before her, the scourge of the Caribbean, the pirate who had saved her life, the man who had fought an entire ship to protect her and Samuel, the man who had shown her what true loyalty and honor looked like in a world without law. "Yes," she said clearly, "I choose this. I choose you. I choose the Leviathan and the crew and this impossible life. Because you're not just the man who saved me, you're the man I love." The crew erupted in cheers as Blackwood slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her properly for the first time. Around them, damaged as she was, the Leviathan sailed on toward Tortuga and whatever adventures await. 3 weeks later, with the ship repaired and a new quartermaster appointed, Alara stood at the bow watching the sunset paint the Caribbean in shades of gold and crimson. Samuel was in her arms, his compass rose birthmark visible as she adjusted his blanket. "Thinking about your old life?" Blackwood appeared beside her, slipping an arm around her waist. "No," she said honestly. "I'm thinking about our new one. About Samuel growing up on this ship, learning to sail before he can walk. About teaching him to read from your charts. About all the places we'll see together. It won't be easy. The Royal Navy will always be hunting us. Other pirates will always be testing us. And raising a child at sea." He trailed off. "Nothing worth having is easy." She leaned into him. "Besides, I was told this child was prophesied to unite what's divided. Maybe that's not about pirate crews at all. What do you think it means?" "Maybe it means he united you with the part of yourself you thought died with your family. The part that can love without fear. The part that can hope for a future beyond the next She looked up at him. "Or maybe it's just an old legend, and none of it matters except that we found each other." Blackwood smiled, a real smile that made him look years younger. "I prefer your interpretation." As the sun set over the Caribbean, the Leviathan sailed on with her legendary captain, his fierce wife, and the child whose mark had brought them together. Behind them was abandonment and betrayal. Ahead was freedom and family and a life they would build together one day at a time. The prophecy had been fulfilled, though not in the way anyone expected. The child born at sea during a blood moon hadn't united pirate crews or brought fortune in gold. Instead, he'd brought something far more valuable. He'd given a man who had lost everything a reason to hope again, and he'd given a woman who had been thrown away a place where she truly belonged. In the end, that was the greatest treasure the Caribbean had ever known.